This is Wake the F Up podcast.
F is for fabulous.
I'm Andy Dooley.
And I'm Kat Torres. Wake the F Up is all about celebrating the great drama of life, the beauty and the brutality. And
tapping into your true divinity, your creativity, because you are the universe pretending to be human.
It's fabulous. The whole idea is to get free, right? And I feel like this leads to the greatest human stories. And as a platform to begin our podcast today, who are you when all hell breaks loose? What's trying to emerge through you? What do you become when the shift hits the fan and things don't work out for you? And I'm not talking about, you didn't quite manifest your dreams coming true. I'm talking about, loss. I'm talking about a death in the family. I'm talking about blocks of information, like, in health challenges in family or whatever, where suddenly your life changes instantly. Who do you become in those moments? And I think that this really points to the solid, like the humanness of your spiritual practice. It's a beautiful thing.
Okay, going live in 3, 2, 1, boom. Yes.
Oh, yeah, baby. He nailed it today, people.
Yes, we are live on Facebook and we're recording our podcast. And welcome to Wake the F Up podcast.
Yeah, baby. Thanks for turning up, everybody. It's really great to be here. Slightly less technical issues than usual. Hey.
We are live and streaming. And today we got a really juicy topic that I think everybody can relate to. And that is when all hell breaks loose in your life. And we've all experienced it in such a vital piece of life, because if everything was a walk in the park, well, that really wouldn't be that much fun. And so today we're going to dive into navigating the contrast when things get difficult and challenging, how to be resilient, how to find the gift in things.
So good. Thanks for being here, everybody. And I like the one-liner that when all hell breaks loose. And it's really funny, normally when we think about all hell breaking loose, we sort of like feel a little bit like, hold on to your hat, and this is like a shit thing, and can make us really nervous when all hell breaks loose. But for me, when I really tune into that actual topic, all hell breaking loose, isn't it better that hell is getting loose as opposed to it being really tight and it being really like foundated and it's like not moving? Like all hell breaking loose sounds like, we're like going to have some, like, even though it's violent, there's going to be some space created here that we're going to actually start to dissolve something here. And I feel like all hell breaking loose is better than it being loaded into the system and it being like really like running the show foundations,
Yeah, I love that. Creating space and getting to see what's working, what's not working. And it really is a gift. I remember hearing Abraham Hicks say, when people start doing the spiritual work and they start meditating, is it normal for all hell to break loose? And Abraham says, yes, because you've been building up resistance, and finally you start finding relief. You're starting listening to your own higher self, and then the things that are not you, the things that you're carrying that don't belong to you, you can suddenly put them down. Sometimes they get ripped out of your life, and you're like, oh, space, I can breathe. This is a gift. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
That's right. And, I think that it's really important to remember that as we signed up to live out our lives in this dimension, you signed a time and space contract where you opted into a dimension of contrast. Like it really can't just be all flavors of bliss only. And even though we think that sounds really delicious, like, I just want it to be good all the time. The truth is that without that contrast, you're just not going to feel the highest of highs. If you didn't have the opportunity to feel the lowest of lows, to have your backs against the wall, to feel like you don't know what to do, when you finally rendezvous with an answer, when you actually have a breakthrough, it wouldn't feel as epic if the shit didn't hit the fan sometimes. And so, in the game of Nowism, one of the things that I really love tuning into is the fact that you can actually change your relationship to challenges and pain and fear, actually. That you can actually, through a profoundly devoted spiritual practice, you can actually learn how to look for the gifts, even in the most hardcore tragedies. And the reason why Andy and I actually wanted to theme the topic today, is because the shit has hit the fan in my life. The shift has hit the fan, and I've had some chaotica going on at the moment. But before I give you the juicy details of that, I'd love to hand it over to Andy, just about like, what is your take on, actually extracting gifts from challenges and from pain? And is that possible, or should we just like have the meltdown, let yourself liquefy, feel lost and sad and broken? Like, what is your take on that, Andy?
I remember hearing Tony Robbins say that your only problem is that you think you shouldn't have any problems. Let me say it again. Your only problem is that you think you shouldn't have any problems. And when you realize that life is about overcoming obstacles and challenges and having problems, of course, you can redefine it as a challenge. It gives you muscle. It gives you strength. You shape your character when you're going through the hard times. There's that Martin Luther King quote about, a man, when things are good, you really can't see his character. But when a man or woman goes through a very difficult time, you really see who they really are. And it shows you who you are. It shows you your strengths and your weaknesses. And so when all hell breaks loose, it's really time for you to rise to the occasion. And today we'll talk about different gifts and strategies and ideas and stories from Kat's life and my life of when all hell has broken loose, how we navigated the storm, how we found the gift or the opportunity in it. And especially coming from a spiritual kind of woo-woo perspective, because oftentimes in the spiritual, teachings and the path that a lot of people are on, we can have a tendency to run away from it or deny that it's hard or it's yucky, or, you don't want to admit that, you're not spiritually, manifesting effortlessly, and that you're in a funk, or you're, all hell's breaking loose. You don't know what the hell to do. You're lost and confused. So the gifts are there. The opportunities are there. And if you're going through hell right now, as Winston Churchill says, just keep on going. You'll get through it.
Right? There is a little bit of a stereotypical reaction in the community of law of attraction and the community of creating your reality that it should be high vibes only. And it's a really spiritually immature reaction to life's beautiful gifts and challenges, and the shit ones too. When I say beautiful, I actually mean the shit ones too. The truth is that there are so many gifts that come from tragedy. We see it in, when the shift hits the fan, like with a Mother Nature plot twist, like say there's a flood or there's a fire. We always see some remarkable human stories emerge from those really dark spaces. Those are the moments where the neighbors who normally bicker at each other suddenly drop all of their differences, and they save each other. They save each other's dogs and cats. They come together. They go around and they have this hero activation that takes place. And I feel like there's a method to the madness here. It's not like we have a beseeching God that just wants to annihilate us for no reason. There is a actual system here that if you weren't put in a position to actually activate courage, then why on earth would you have to feel courage? If you weren't put in a position where all hope felt lost and you had to actually find some way out of a shitstorm of doubt and fear and worry, then you wouldn't have to grow your confidence. You wouldn't have to grow your wings. And I feel like this leads to the greatest human stories. And as a platform to begin our podcast today, who are you when all hell breaks loose? What's trying to emerge through you? What do you become when the shift hits the fan and things don't work out for you? And I'm not talking about, you didn't quite manifest your dreams coming true. I'm talking about, loss I'm talking about a death in the family. I'm talking about blocks of information, like, in health challenges in family or whatever, where suddenly your life changes instantly. Who do you become in those moments? And I think that this really points to the solid, like the humanness of your spiritual practice. It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. And we got to remember that. So if you're going through hell right now, or maybe you just went through hell, and we can all look back at a time in your life where you went through that divorce or that death or disease or, the loss of something that was really important to you. And you can look back and, hopefully you can look back and go, wow, I really did develop more compassion, or I developed more creativity, or I found a strength within me that I didn't even know I had. And you don't know what you got in you until you've really been tested. Because like the bigger perspective of this is when you're infinite intelligence, source energy, and you're not in a physical body, like you have it all. Like you're just blissed out if you're even in an emotion of bliss. And everything is magical. Everything is wonderful. Everything is instant manifestation. And then you do the very difficult thing of putting yourself in a physical body, in time-space reality, giving yourself amnesia, and then facing challenges, forgetting who you are, being betrayed, lied to, you lying to somebody, them lying to you, then it blows up in your face. Someone you love dearly transitions unexpectedly. And it forces you to look at your beliefs, your story, who you are, how you're showing up. And so those traumatic events really wake you up. And then you get to decide, okay, who do I want to be now? How am I going to respond to this? Because remember, everything that happens to you is neutral. There's no meaning. It's not what happens to you. It's what you do with what happens to you. And I know in my life, when I've gone through business difficulties or relationship difficulties, I've always had to step back and be honest with how I'm feeling. And usually for me, I go to the journal. I know Kat in her Game of Nowism, there's a character called Inca, and Inca is representative of an ink pen and writing it down. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What is the perspective here? And that's where you find the magic. That's where you grow.
Yes, it's so true. And these are the moments where you can really carve and sculpt out a new response. But it's very important to check in with where you're really feeling when the shift actually hits a fan. And for me, most recently, I've been I was on a fly-highing moment, man. Like I've got my new podcast, Wake the Earth Up with Andy Dooley. I've got, some beautiful partnerships happening with Zoe Marshall. I've got, I've been working with one of the world's greatest illustrators who just won the Annie Award for character illustration. Like, it has been an amazing time, and it's been like all my dreams are coming true, and it's such a special, special time. So I go to the airport the other day to pick up my mother, who missed her first flight. That's strange. She arrives at the airport, and she happens to be in a wheelchair with a big lump on her head. And she's looking at me, and she's saying to me, "I'm fine. All is well." And I'm just like, things are not really fine, So through the evening and all through the night, I kept finding her on the floor, just trying to get to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like there's something going on. Now my mother, who's so dynamic and beautiful and powerful, healthy human, it's just like such a plot twist. I would never have imagined that there could be something going on in her body. Anyway, the next day, it's all on. Emergency arrives. I've got her in an ambulance. We take her. Anyway, it turns out that she has a very serious diagnosis. And now suddenly we're in the world of hospitals. We're in the world of I'm full-time carer. We've got all of this like new information taking place. I've had to wrap my life around this unwellness to assist her to actually live from vision now and to try and create the best conditions for whatever is trying to evolve through her. Now, the first thing that happens is that you react, right? Oh my God, my mom. You couldn't ask for a bigger wound. And for those of you who don't know me, and I say this because the ones who do know me know that my mother is one of my best friends. You know, I have an amazing friendship with my mother. So the initial reaction is, oh my God, like, am I going to lose my mother? Like, and what does that mean? Then on the spiritual response side, Andy, I've got this full, like, broader perspective of like, well, I want to support whatever her soul wants. Is it possible that my mother wants to just exit this story right now? And can I rise to the occasion, get my own shit out of the way, and actually support whatever wants to actually happen here? What's the highest good for all concerned? Now, my mother wants to live. My mother wants to stay here. My mother is ready to fight the good fight. And so that's really beautiful. So we've been in the trenches of the humanness of flesh, blood, bones, scans, all things, right? Only 14 days in hospital. Now we're at home, not even my home. This is a temporary home. I happen to manifest a house near the hospital to live in for a little while Mum and I are navigating this new space. She lives a plane ride away. Anyway, so I get a new phone call 2 days ago that my father, now he's wobbling and having like serious memory loss, having like all the early stages of, you know, some sort of mental situation is happening here. Now I've got to now he lives 2.5 hours away. I have to get in the car on Thursday after arranging like other carers for my mum and actually go up there, power of attorney, lawyer stuff, like get things in order. Like, whoa, Andy, if I didn't know any better, right, I would be asking you, how did I manifest this, Andy? What the actual fuck, Andy? What is going on in my field, Andy? And that is not the high question right now. Because you know what? Life happens to all of us. And this is something that I'm sharing really intimately right now with our beautiful audience. Wake the F up. You know, life happens to us. And I hope you're sitting down right now, everybody. So I hate to be the one to break this to you, but there's a possibility, high likelihood, that you will die, okay? Like your story is going to end. We're in a beginning, middle, and the story ends, okay? Something happens and you will get your exit ticket to exit this situation that we're in, this game that we're in, this amazing human story that we are in. And so in knowing this thing and in basing my life from this space, I had somehow in my darkest moments in the last few days, as I have been simultaneously existing in the human space, the woman, the daughter, cat doors, banging around in my own mortality, banging around in my own logistics and my own sadness of how does my parents, who, by the way, were divorced 28, 29 years ago, how do both my parents have like huge wobbles at the same time? Like it would be easy for me to go, how did I manifest this? But that's not the high question. The highest question that I am having right now is, what is trying to emerge from me? Clearly, this is going to make me great. So my job now is to start to surf these waves of contrast and build my wings on the way down. I've already jumped out of the airplane, people. I have jumped, and now I'm growing my wings. Now, I want to share with all of you some strategies here that I am using. Number one, I must have the flash tag of willingness. If I don't, flash tag is a word that I use to describe emotions. Where are you flashing in from? Every emotion that we have then drives a thought and it drives a behavior. So if I don't have willingness to take this on, if I throw my toys right now and if I say, why me, woe is me, what the actual fuck, like if I hang out there too long, then everything is going to be wrapped around that vibrational offering. Things are just going to get harder. I'm going to stub my toe on the way out. I'm going to bang my head on the wall, like something more shit. I will become the condition for something even more shit to happen. My job right now is to activate a real relationship with willingness, that the universe never hands you anything that you cannot handle. And so now I want to now caveat this again, that I'm heartbroken, people. The human being here is feeling all of the feels. And I allow myself to cry at night. And I allow myself to feel the sadness of the brutality of the human condition. But I got to tell you, I'm so grateful for my nowism practice because I am simultaneously existing right now in two spaces. The woman cat doors, I have my tears. I throw my toys. And I ask myself, how the actual fuck am I going to do this? But then there's the spiritual perspective of me knows that this is going to make me great. The spiritual perspective in me knows that I will be supported, fueled, and funded by the divine. The spiritual perspective knows that this is a very important part in my chapter. Through the hashtag of willingness, I will grow my wings. And so this is the topic today in Wake the F Up.
Wow. Big hugs and love to you, Kat, and all the love in the chat box and on the live. Yeah, it is. It's heartbreaking. It's human. It's the humanity in us. And the birds obviously they're cheering you on. They're like, yes, we love you. We got you. This is your opportunity to grow your wings. They're like, we have wings, you know?
True story. Oh my goodness. Forgive the special Australian birds in the background. There is one crow right there, and he's like the singular raven, you know, just praying for the highest good, you know.
He is.
The birds.
Yeah, I love what you said about willingness. And I think the audience right now, you can apply this in whatever you're going through, and that willingness to look at it, the willingness to be human and cry and be sad, the willingness to shift your perspective into the spiritual. All is one. Nobody dies. It's all perfect unfolding. This is your initiation into your greatness. You're growing your wings now. And you have that ability because it's not, I'm going to say this throughout the whole podcast. It's not what happens to you. It's what you do with what happens to you. And everything that happens to you is meaningless until you decide what it means. That's power. That's power. That's how you can take the most difficult situation and you can find the gift and you can find an empowering meaning. That's self-empowerment. People want to be powered, self-empowered, and you have to do it to yourself. And you do that by saying, okay, this is happening. Most people would say this is horrible. This is tragic. Oh my God. And other people can look at it and go, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, that's how powerful we are to decide in the moment, in every moment, what something means and what we're going to do with it. It determines the quality of your life. Literally, the quality of your life is determined by the emotions you feel. But before you feel those emotions, it's the meaning you give things. And then you're going to feel an emotion. That determines the quality of your life. That determines your point of attraction. So the things that are now showing up for Kat, she can turn them all into gifts and opportunities. And she's going to have moments where it's not a gift. It's not an opportunity. I don't want to get out of bed today. And that's okay too.
Yeah. I think there's a real power in allowing the negative emotions to simultaneously be able to exist with powerful, positive emotions. And this is really an important piece for anyone out there who's experiencing grief. I had a healer come to the house yesterday, a kinesiologist. It was the most beautiful session with my mom. And my mom's a warrior. My mom's like, I'm all good, you know. Meanwhile, she's sort of dragging a leg. And it's like, is she all good? Is she not all good? And one of the beautiful things that this amazing kinesiologist shared with my mom, and it helped my mom actually reframe what's going on for her, is that you can be feeling grief and sadness, but also feel hope and possibilities. And I feel like there's a lot of freedom in understanding this, that it's not just one or the other. I'm very sorry about this crow. He's really persisting. You don't have to just feel one or the other. Like, you can actually feel hope and possibilities, knowing that this is temporary, but also feel like, oh my goodness, I feel sad. I feel uncertain. I feel a little bit lost right now. And allowing yourself this simultaneous awareness, I think, is a very wise spiritual perspective where you get to be a human and you can also have that broader perspective of vision and of possibility, knowing that we are on our way to greater days. And so for anyone, and I want to bring this up for anyone who's experienced a great loss in family, if you are experiencing some sort of grief where you feel like, you've lost someone, a character has left your story and they're not coming back. in the same form at least, that you may not ever really get over that person, but that also doesn't mean you'll never experience any more joy in your life. That doesn't mean that you won't fly into the great spaces of your own creative unfolding. You're allowed to feel grief and still feel the bliss of this beautiful dimension. And I think that this is a nice little upgrade for all of us as we be spiritual, but also stay human.
That's so good. That should be a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Be spiritual, stay human. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so good.
Yeah.
We got to write that. Be spiritual, stay human.
Yeah.
I can share a few weeks in the beginning of the month of February. This wasn't necessarily all hell breaking loose, but it was definitely a loss in my life. I see it as a gain as well. It was like, oh, this is a loss. Oh, and this is also a gain, right? Perspective. How do I want to see this? And my dear beloved kitty cat named Oliver, it was time to put him to sleep. And it was so hard. I cried all day. It was heart-wrenching. I mean, oh, my little kitty cat I've had for 5 years. He was 15 years old. I adopted him, and, his time had come, and, his chapter had come, his story came to an end, and it was time for him to move on. And, I felt all the feels. I was human. I was crying. I was dehydrated by the time I left the veterinarian. I had just cried so much, and I'm someone who hydrates a lot. And, I just felt it. I felt the loss. I felt the grief. I felt, that it's come to an end, and now life without him. I'm like, oh, but now I have, with the days following, I shifted my energy more and more to the celebration, to the gifts, to the love we shared, to, this cat was a really unique cat. I mean, I could literally walk him around the neighborhood without a leash. He would just follow me around the neighborhood. He used to be the neighborhood cat. Like, everybody knows Oliver, and kids come out and play with him and pet him. And people tell me stories of how Oliver would show up every day and be at their front door. They'd open the door. Oliver would just walk into their house like he owned it. And then he would sit with a dog that was dying. And it was like, what? I mean, this cat was really, every cat is an animal, is beautiful and special and unique, but for me, it was like, wow, this little kitty cat. And now it's just like, just pure love and celebration. And I feel his love and energy. And, I'm celebrating. I'm choosing to celebrate. I'm choosing to feel the depth of what love can be and how it can transform. And once that person or cat or whatever is out of your life, it's, I had to make the choice I'm going to grow from this. I'm going to love deeper and stronger than I've ever loved before, because life is short. We're all going to check out. So that was one example of just, again, it's not what happens to you. It's what you do with what happens. And you can react negatively, or you can respond positively and extract the gifts, and that's self-empowerment.
Exactly. And this is one of the things that Andy shares in that Manifestors Cafe. This is the part of the story where I rise up. This is the part of the story where I activate more of my potential. This is the part of the story where I become more and never less than who I am supposed to be. And I feel like this is where playing that game of nowism, being in this practice is so powerful, because it allows you to have a bird's eye view of your story while you're banging around and you're trying to do the things and you're mourning your cat and you're realizing how much you loved him and you're feeling all these feels. You can simultaneously watch yourself from beyond and smile from beyond at the opportunity to be here and live this life. This is the only moment. Now is the actual time. You got to live like you mean it. This story is short. Beginning, middle, end. It's going to be over, people. Don't die with your music in you. Allow all of the challenges in your life be actual sort of activators. There's something that I've adopted for many years, and that is that all of the challenges that take place for me, all of the problems that happen are actually perfectly designed for my evolution. And this is something that I'd love to share with my one-on-one people when they come in with their stories and their heartbreaks and their traumas and the things that have happened to them that they have trouble shaking off. And people can ask, like, why me? Like, why do I have to have this particular challenge? I look at my friend over there who's got that type of challenge. It's a different type of challenge. I want that challenge, not this one. And it's important to remember that everything that happens to you is designed for you, by you, in the bigger context of the word, like through source, for your greater evolution. Your problems are tailor-made to activate your gifts and talents and capacities in the long run. And when you actually adopt this context, and this is one of the things we do right at the beginning of the game of now, is so that when you establish your game plan with what you are doing with your consciousness on a day-to-day level, that you're actually building your practice from a context that understands that I am waking up in a friendly universe, that everything in this life is working for me, not against me, that everything is designed to activate more of my evolution. Even the people in my life, those annoying people, the really special feature people, even those people, the dicks that upset you, annoy you, grind your gears, those people are designed perfectly to trigger you into evolving. And when you establish that context and you live from there, then there's something about life that becomes an adventure, even when you're in the trenches, even when you are in situations where you never thought you would have to do certain things. There's a part of you that's sort of smiling from beyond that, oh, this is the part of the story where I rise up.
Oh, thank you for reminding me of my Manifestors Cafe. And one of the tools I love is that this is the part of the story. You did that so well. And I just love how, you designed that problem. You designed that. The bigger part of you is giving you this gift because it's going to unlock something in you. You're going to shift something. It's going to change everything for you. And I want to share an acronym with you guys listening because, depending on your situation, what's going on, I know sometimes it can feel hopeless or you'll never be the same or you've lost it. And this was when I've gone through all hell breaking loose. I remember at one point, years ago, I had a relationship I was in that was very deep and meaningful to me, lots of love. That came to an end. I had started another business and that failed miserably. And I wanted to become the next world champion of public speaking with Toastmasters, and I didn't win the contest. And I just felt like all these three things that were really important to me, none of them worked out. And I just felt like the biggest failure and loser. And so, of course, I was feeling all the feels and working through my emotions and reframing the situation, looking for the gift. And an acronym that I want to give you guys that can help you no matter where you're at, no matter what's going on. At least I hope this will help you. It's AIR, A-I-R. So the A stands for acceptance. You, instead of pushing it away, this isn't happening, it shouldn't be happening to me. It is, and you got to embrace it. Accept that you're going through this challenge. Accept that you're having a dark night of the soul. Accept that you've lost the love of your life or whatever it is. Accept it. Just accept, okay, it's happening to me, and I accept this fully. Then the I stands for finding your inner strength. What strengths do you have? What gifts do you have that you can use in this situation? Because now you've accepted it. Now you need to face it. And so you've got inner strengths. And what are those inner strengths that will help you deal with this? And then the R in AIR stands for resilience, becoming resilient. And a simple way to understand resilience and coming back, staying strong, is to know there's two things you always control. And that is your attitude and effort. You can always control your attitude, and you don't have to have the best attitude. You can just be like, okay, this really sucks. I'm in a shithole. This is painful, but I can shift my attitude to a little relief. I can find a way to feel a little bit better about this. I know there's a silver lining here. Might not see it right now, and that's okay, but I'm in control of my attitude, and I can just have an attitude of hopefulness, an attitude of optimism. And there's something I can do. I can effort. Attitude and effort, those are things that are always in your control. And just a little bit of effort to feel better, a little bit of effort to soothe yourself and say something nice to yourself, a little bit of effort to reach out and maybe ask for support or help. That acronym, AIR, acceptance, inner strength, and resilience, can really help you turn all hell breaking loose into, wow, I've broken through to the next level. This is who I really am. I can do this.
And you know what's so beautiful about that too, Andy? It's like, stop and take a breath and breathe the air. Like, you couldn't ask for a faster way to take yourself deeply into the eternal now. You know, the present moment is actually an interpretation, but through being consciously participating in the breathing of the air, you can move beyond your human stories and your limitations and access the eternal now. And so through this acceptance and inner strength and resilience, boom, like you're actually allowing yourself a little reset. You're really rebooting yourself into the actual now. And I love that your acronym actually has a little physical component to it. I think that's really brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, so today we're on Wake the F Up podcast. We're talking about all hell breaking loose in your life and how to navigate that and the emotions and how to extract the gift from a very difficult situation. As Kat has shared earlier, that her mom and dad are exhibiting signs, and Kat is having to juggle and navigate all these emotions and the loss of a loved one and fear and health and rejuvenation, and just, it's a lot. And I know we've all had these experiences in our life. And there's another acronym or like a tool that I heard Tony Robbins talk about. It blew my mind when I heard it. And when we go through a difficult situation, sometimes people don't rebound. You know, some people literally die of heartbreak, of loss of a loved one or a family member.
Yes.
A lot of times people don't rebound. And what happens is they go into what's called less, loss, and never. So because of this difficult situation, they feel less. And of course, you're going to feel less. You feel less powerful. It's out of your control. And you feel like you're less than who you were because something or somebody has changed. The game has changed. So, right, we can all relate to like going through a divorce or heartbreak. I know when I went through a heartbreak a few years ago, you know, I felt like I was less than who I was. Like I was more when they were with me. And now I don't have my partner anymore to play off of. And now I'm less of who I was. And then you can go into loss. Then the less turns into loss. I'm lost. I've lost this. And you start to build the story in your head. I'm less than who I was. I'll never get it back. I'm lost. This is not fair. Why is this happening to me? And then you go into never. I'll never recover. I'll never be the same. Life will never. And so when you go less, loss, and never, you're really in a difficult place. And so if you're aware of that's a pattern that people can fall into when all hell breaks loose, and you can go, oh, wow, I'm in the less stage, or I'm in the lost stage, or I'm in the never stage, you're really effed. And so this is like, wait a minute, I'm not less than, I'm becoming more. I haven't lost anything. I've gained perspective. I've gained new strengths. And this isn't a never. This is an opportunity to write the new chapter, tell the new story, and using the tools that we teach in the Manifestors Cafe that Kat teaches inside the game of Nowism. These tools can really help you get away from less, loss, and never and turn it into opportunity and self-empowerment. So, Kat, what's a character or a tool that you use in the game of Nowism for kind of dealing with all hell breaks loose?
Yeah, you know, there's a few. I was just going to share too. I felt a moment in the shower the other day when suddenly, you know, I was dealing with my mum and that block of information. But then I had this new information that my dad, who lives like 2-3 hours away, was wobbling as well, and I needed to take immediate action, and I just felt this like this pull, and I could feel in my field in that very moment, I could feel this sort of like memories are being created right now. Memories are being wired right now. And as I was sort of wailing in my own like mortal, human, female, emotional situation, I had this little pilot light of the divine. My little inner now ninja was whispering in my ear, like, you are creating memories. You are creating meaning right now. Like, what is trying to emerge from you? Who do you need to become right now? And I really caught myself out. And it wasn't that I suppressed the emotion. I allowed myself to cry and to have the things, but I simultaneously decided that I needed to create like new meaning in this moment with absolute conviction from my spirit. And so I decided in this very moment that there is something powerful happening here. And the universe can only do for me what it can do through me, right? You know, I am being breathed into the next chapter of my story here. Something radically amazing is happening here. And even though I'm feeling the trauma and sadness of like the overwhelm of like logistics too, like it's all the emotions of like, oh my God, am I about to lose both of my parents who, you know, simultaneously, like, oh my goodness, like, but then also the like inducing logistics and stuff. Like I have to speak to my dad's lawyers and do things that I'm not very good at the matrix stuff, people. Okay. Like I'm an artist. All right. So it's like really out of my comfort zone. I'm being evicted out of my comfort zone. I am being thrown forwards and the meaning matters. And so one of the tools that we use in the game of Nowism for the moments like this and the idea of this tool is that you actually still honor how you really feel. This is not about high vibes only, people. Let's get to the good stuff. No, I'm in the trenches, mate. Like that's a reality. And there's no point pretending that that's not true. So this is a tool, and you would have heard it before. It's the reframe. You know, to actually reframe. And the reframe begins, it's just a language technique, okay? Even though I feel really overwhelmed and lost right now, I love knowing that this is going to make me great. And even though I'm not really sure what to do right now other than stand in the shower and cry my guts out, I do like knowing that this is temporary and that the answers are going to come. Even though I feel the depths of sadness and uncertainty right now in this moment, I do like knowing that answers come and that I'm willing and that I'm available. And so what this does is it allows for you to honor the truth of how you really feel. And I really want to nail this one home today, people. If you feel lost, and it's not a habit though, that's different to momentarism. Momentarism, which is part of the game of Nowism, is the habit of a negative focus. I'm always bitching about people. I'm always feeling unworthy. I'm always feeling lack and not enough money. It's just a habit of thinking, very different to when the shift hits the fan, your back's against the wall, there's a plot twist in your story, and it feels negative. You know, this is a very different type of emotional wave. Feel how you feel and ask yourself to find the keys in that, unlock the codes in that. Because I can confidently say that I know that this circumstance is going to make me great. I am in the trenches right now. And I'm just at the beginning of it, really. But what I know is that through the reframe here, through reframing what's going on, even though I feel this, I also know that I can feel like this. And even though I feel lost, I know that I'll find my way. And so this tool establishes an honor system for your emotions, which are the packets of energy that drive us. These are the emotions is energy in motion. Our entire universe is made up of this language. God's language is one of vibration. It's not just the affirmation. The affirmation leads to the vibration. This is what's under the hood. And so when you can honor how you really feel, and actually really go there and just be okay with it. It's like Andy's acronym, the AIR, to have acceptance, inner strength, resilience, breathe it in, reframe. You're creating memories. You're creating meaning right now. What's the meaning that you're creating? What, that you're defeated, that you manifest shit things? No, thank you. I'm sorry. That's a bullshit story. You are actually being put in a position to become a superhero. Rise to the occasion. Your job is to go all in. And we do have a character in the Nowism game, and this sounds sort of radical, but there is a goat, and his name is Totes. Totes McGoats is a skydiving goat, and he's just all in. He jumps out of airplanes, and he pulls the chute knowing that he will land on the feather bed. But he is the yes energy. He is the character of willingness. Totes McGoats, I'm all in. And the reason why I used a goat is because, when I was living in Africa, I was always amazed when I'd be finding myself in these obscure places. Then suddenly you'd see, like, standing precariously on the edge of some weird wall, there'd just be a goat. This goat would just be like, I'm like, how the hell did you get there? Why are you there? What are you doing? And so I started to dream up this fable where the actual originators of skydiving are goats, because goats find themselves up trees. Goats climb mountains. Goats stand on the edges of the weirdest places. And it's like they just seem to be all in. They seem to have no fear. And so imagine that inside of your consciousness, you have an all-in part of your consciousness. You have a yes energy. And he's got a long little beard, Totes McGoats. I think I've got a little picture of him here. Totes, here he is. I'll see if I can do the screen share. I think I can, actually. Screen share. Let's give it a go. Oh, hang on. I've got to go through a process. So, no, next time.
Okay.
Next time, people. Yeah. Unfortunately, I need to actually set it up before we do it. But, yeah, it's a goat. He's jumping, and he's got a big smile on his face. His eyes are freaking on, and he's just like, bring it on. Bring it on. I say yes to the expansion. And that's the quote of the Totes McGoats. I say yes to the expansion. And so instead of like cowering at the circumstances, which I have a lot of data right now that could I could cower to the circumstances. I could be rocking in a corner somewhere going, Dooley, I'm dying. I have enough data that could allow for me to actually feel like that. But instead of cowering to the circumstances, I'm saying yes to the expansion. And this moment is proudly sponsored by Totes McGoats. All in. Let's go.
Totes McGoats. I've seen goats. I've done a lot of traveling. And I remember in Peru, and I think it was also even in Iceland or in Norway, we would see goats just like, it's insane how they're like on these insane ledges and they're so high up. It's like, that's not even possible. And I love the metaphor of a goat being just all in, fearless, give it to me. Yes, my parents might be dying. My cat's dying. Maybe your kid's got cancer, or your mom's got cancer, or you're going bankrupt, you're in debt, you're going through a divorce, and just saying yes to all of it. I'm all in. Give me the lessons. Give me the learning. This is one of the huge reasons why we signed up for Time Space Reality, was to have these contrasting moments, because of the gift of clarity and rising to the occasion was so worth it that we said, hell yeah, I'm all in. Yeah. I'm Totes McGoats.
Exactly. And there is the spirit of adventure is really one of the packets of energy we're connecting here with Totes McGoats, is that instead of this being like a fear of the unknown, it's actually a yes energy for the adventure of life. And the adventure of life also includes the beauty and also the brutality of what can emerge from this space. But one thing that we know for sure is that life is good, even when it's not. And one thing that we know for sure is that we are here to actually activate our gifts, our talents, our capacities, and to find our courage, to find our wings. The greatest human stories are when there is a plot twist and the human being, the hero in the story, rises to the occasion and says yes when everything, and then wants to say no. The greatest chapters in all great films and stories and books and whatever, it is when we actually turn up and out of no way a way is actually made. And we call it a miracle. But really, all that happened was you activated the inner goat energy where you said yes to the adventure instead of the fear of the unknown. And I feel like what an amazing wind to have in our sail. You know, it's far riskier, Andy, for me. You know, people get afraid of their yes energy because in our society, safety is really sort of overrated. You know, like we really glorify the idea of safety. Everybody's getting ready for when they get old and making sure that they've got all the resources, you know, like insurance plans, yada, yada, yada. And look, I'm not saying don't have your things in order, but the whole like preparing and being safe so that you can control everything is actually very counterintuitive to why you signed up to this time and space adventure. For me, it's far more risky to not live full out, to not love out loud, to not really like bring my music and be the one-hit wonder in this universe. Like if I don't do that and I get to my deathbed, Andy, and I haven't lived fully, for me, that's a much larger risk. The risk of the energy, the momentarist of regret, no thank you. Like for me, that is far riskier. To get to the end of days and to realize, gosh, I wish that I just didn't care what other people think. I wish that I just turned up. I wish that I'd loved harder, longer, stronger. I wish that I'd just been a fool for all of it. I wish that I created a ripple effect with my gifts and my talents. And, you know, like the risk of bumping your knee or getting hit by a bus or like not having what you need is like, you know, which risk really? For me, the eternity is awaiting. You know, we are here now in this story. It's sacred. Every moment matters. Every thought counts. Live out loud and take some risks with your yes energy. Totes McGoats.
Thank you. That was so beautiful and poetic and powerful. Wow, I can feel the energy. You guys feeling the energy in that shift in perspective? And just like sometimes it's so good also when you're going through hell to look at the bigger perspective and see the story and see yourself in that story and be Totes McGoats and to come back around to using this is the part of the story where I rise to the occasion. This is the part of the story where I discover what I'm really made of. This is the part of the story where I see and find the gift in the situation. This is the part of the story where I become Totes McGoats. This is the part of the story where I have a breakthrough and, unseen forces come to my aid because of my alignment. This is the part of the story where I empower myself. Yes.
Yes. Thank you for your yes energy, Andy. It really is one of the great flavors of this fabric that we are a part of. And the whole idea of health and wholeness is a yes energy. Like when we bloom, we're in the yes energy, and even just as a physical practice to just sit and to have your chest open and to say yes to your expansion is such a wonderful in-between moment, sort of practice. Your nowism practice can just be to have your heart open and just feel into the flavors of yes. Just hang out in yes while you're having your green juice or your matcha,
Yeah, the power of acceptance. Going back to the acronym, if you're joining us now live and Wake the F Up podcast, that, the yes energy, accepting it, activating your inner strength, becoming resilient, feeling all the emotions, allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to feel the disconnect and then come back into alignment with the gift and the beauty and the transformation that's taking place. And knowing that there is a divine unfolding and that, unfortunately, Kat's mom and dad are coming to the end of their story, and it's no coincidence. They're like, hey, let's really, giving everybody an opportunity to do and to become who they really want to become in this. And yeah, just to that bigger perspective. It's all a divine unfolding. I love being a character in the story. I love getting to choose how I respond here. Powerful.
One of the gifts that I'm really experiencing here too, Andy, is the art of being truly selfless, the art of really turning up, the art of knowing the preciousness of the moments. You know, when we're young, you know, like we're like busy marching down our timelines. We've got things that we're still doing, and I feel this great gift as I assist my mother every single day at the moment, where like every single moment is so precious. You know, every single moment really is an irrepeatable expression of eternity. And as we magnify the sacred opportunity, which is what a spiritual practice really does, as you strengthen your connection to the divine, you can live in your story with a lot of humanity. You know, I saw in the chat here, Vince was suggesting here that our inner being doesn't experience grief or loss. And that's absolutely true. Like the inner being does not. And simultaneously, when we're in our story, in the illusion of separation, which is what the game design is, we do experience grief and loss. We do experience this feeling and this energy, which doesn't, like grief and loss, it just depends on your interpretation of the words and the energies. But these are the raw energies that make our human stories. And I feel like there's beauty here. I feel like there's something wonderful to learn here. I would not be learning the selfless humility if I didn't experience the plot twist here. You know, and even though it was inside of me, it's a dormant superhero until it needs to be disturbed into expression. The circumstances now erupt me into a pattern that I have not had to really experience this part of myself before. A little bit, yes, but not with parents. You know, it's another level. And so I'm enjoying the opportunity to let life bring the opportunities to activate dormant superhero powers. And when we adopt this sort of poise in our own personal games of nowism, we then can have this yes energy and playful out and just say yes to whatever's turning up, to create acceptance when it turns up. And if you want to change it, you change it, you shift it, you lift it. We know the difference. Sometimes some things are happening and they can't be shifted or lifted necessarily in the terms of, you know, with your own habits or your own doubts or fears and the old laggy momentarish bullshit, boring. Like that stuff can be changed. That stuff can be shifted. When your cat passed away, Andy, you had to go into deep acceptance of that and then extract the gifts from Oliver, extract the gifts of you and that beautiful connection that you had, and to allow that to now be a wind in your sail as you move forwards. I hope everybody's enjoying their chapter of nowness during this moment in the Wake the F Up podcast, because I know that Andy and I have definitely been sharing some of the deeper, more like sort of trench topics recently, and I'm enjoying the fact that we've had the opportunity today to sort of go there, because we're very much the high vibe specialists. You know, we like to focus on vision and expansion, and it's really important though that we allow this conversation to also get into the human trenches a little bit and to talk about the flesh and the blood and the bones and the oh my God, like this energy of feeling like helplessness, to feel the depths of emotions, because all of it is relevant and all of it matters, and every single one of us here is going to experience degrees of this fabulous spectrum of life.
Can I get a namaste? Yes.
Can I get a namaste?
Yeah, I think this is, we're going to start to wrap it up. This has been a phenomenal podcast, and the shares and the tools and the processes and just navigating the illusion of all hell breaking loose, when really it is the opportunity for you to become the next best version of yourself and then to embrace all of it. So many great tools and shares and techniques and perspectives.
Yeah, thank you for encouraging this conversation today, Andy. I love you, and I love everybody who's joining us. Thanks for turning up. Facebook, we see you. Thanks for your comments, and yeah, I'm really enjoying the Wake the F Up podcast.
Yeah, so that's the show. Thank you for joining us. Please subscribe, share it with a friend. We love you. Let's keep creating the good vibes, mastering our state of being, and making the best of everything.
If